Georgia Gibbs, it's wonderful to have you back in Miami.
Thank you. How nice to be here. Did you see my tan?
Yeah, I noticed a little sunburn in the show tonight and everything.
Feeling so healthy.
Well, I hope you have time to take in plenty of sun while you're down.
Oh, I surely intend to.
Georgia Gibbs is currently at the Diplomat through this Thursday evening, right?
That's right.
And what a bundle of joy you are as ever on stage.
Oh, thank you. Well, I try to be. Try to give my all, as they say.
What's the big ambition these days? What's the goal?
The goal? Well, I don't know. Funny part of it is I never really had a big goal. You know, I started singing from an economic point of view. I had to earn a living. So, I never sat down and said, gee, I've got a big goal and I want this and want that. Actually, I'm quite satisfied with what I'm doing. We all try to make, more hit records and more television shows. But I think I've been a very lucky girl and I'm quite content with what I've had.
What's wrong with the popular music business these days?
Well,
I know you ask that constantly.
Yes, I am. Well, I don't know. We can't say what's wrong. I just say that I think too much of one thing is always bad. When Tweedly Dee and Dance With Me Henry, that was in the end of 1955. It doesn't seem so terribly long ago, but the music has changed so much. And I remember when these two records were number 1 and 2, we also had a Begin, we also had a ballad, and we had a choice of other songs on the top 10. But today, the top 40 are nothing. I would say that 35 out of the 40 are rock and roll. So the only complaint I have is there's just too much of one kind of music, and I think that's bad. I really do.
What's the solution to this?
Oh, gee whiz. I'm not going to go on record because, frankly, I don't know, because I guess until the kids decide to change, because they're the ones that set the trend, and when they decide they've had it, then we'll see a change. I guess that's the way it's going to be.
Would you compare the top names in the record, the teenage artists today that are selling the biggest records, would you compare these with, say, the Bing Crosbys of 15, 20 years ago?
Of course you can't. Of course you can't.
Why not?
Well, because first of all, the type of music that they're recording today is not as demanding. When Crosby and listen, let's even say up till 5 years ago, you had to be somewhat of a singer in this respect. You had to have a good tone and vibrato. You had to have intonation and phrasing. You had to have some kind of knowledge of singing. Today, it's not so much singing because it's more gimmicky. It's more mechanical. So much is being done in the recording studio, you know very well, with the vibrators and all that sort of thing. So, and also there's just not the demands put on the singer as much as they used to be 3 or 4 years ago. Of course, I think it's a little bit tough on these kids too, frankly, Bob, because don't forget, these kids get a hit record, sure, but then where do they go from there, you see? They haven't the experience, they're not performers, then they just have to wait around for the next record, and the percentages are pretty much against you of getting those million sellers. It's very hard to get million sellers today because now everybody has a recording company.
What's the biggest record you ever had?
Well, my biggest of all, I guess, was Kiss of Fire because that has become more or less of a standard and it keeps selling year after year.
Georgia Gibbs with us this afternoon. Georgia, you've got this is not brand new. It's been out 2 or 3 weeks and been doing very well, a brand new release for Roulette Records. Would you tell us how this particular thing came about and how you happened to switch over to Roulette Records at the same time?
Well, yes, there is a story behind that. You see, I work a little differently than most singers in that I work very closely with the A&R man, the artist and repertoire man. And when I first started with Mercury, we had 2 boys up there called Hugo and Luigi, and we had what we call a good track record. We had Tweedly Dee together and Dance With Me Henry and 7 Lonely Days, Want You to Be My Baby.
They'd have to run track to keep up with you.
So, we had a very good rapport. You see, we kind of thought the same way, and we worked very well together. So when they left, they went over to Roulette, you see, and they didn't quite know what the situation was going to be. And so I started to think of other companies. I was very flattered. I had an awful lot of offers from all the other companies. But then again, I was looking only for one thing, the A&R man. And there was an A&R man at Victor, you see, called Joe Carlton. He gave me Kiss of Fire. But unfortunately, he didn't stay at Victor very long, so I was kind of sat out my contract there and went over to Roulette to be with the boys again. Now I hear they've gone over to Victor, and so I don't know where I'm going right now. I might be right back where I started. But that was my main reason for going over to Roulette.
So in the meantime, you have done a great tune, the Hucklebuck, for Roulette Records, and we would like to play that in just a moment. We would like to remind everyone, first of all, all, Georgia Gibbs will be at the Diplomat Cafe Cristal through this coming Thursday, and we want to invite them all to drop in and say hello to you.
Come on down.
Do you have any TV booked in the near future?
No, I just did the Ed Sullivan show, and I have to scoot out to Las Vegas from here. But after that, I imagine I'll be doing some more.
Well, don't make it too long between jumps into Miami, Georgia.
No, I always look forward to coming back. I really do. I have a wonderful time, and I must tell you, the audiences here are just about the finest I have ever worked for. It is a joy. I just kill myself for them.
You sure do. This is one bundle of joy.
Well, I enjoy it. I really and truly do.
Can we go back for one moment? I've always wanted to meet you, to ask you...
Who gave me her nibs, I bet?
Right.
Ah,
to tell
you're
the story.
kidding.
But listen, of course, I know the story because I was one of the biggest fans of the Durante Gary Moore show on radio.
Well,
I don't think I ever missed it a single week.
Yeah, that was my very first job. That's where I first started. I'll tell you the cute thing that happened, Bob. Just about 4 weeks ago, I did the Gary Moore television Tuesday night show. And it was my first time that I appeared with Gary since the breakup of the Durante Moore show.
No
it
kidding.
was quite
like
a long
old
time.
home week.
Yes, well, I can't tell you what it meant to have Gary say, and now here is her nibs, Miss Gibbs, because of course, and then as a matter of fact, we had a lot of people, he has a kind of a question and answer period on his show, and every card that came in said, who gave her nibs? And of course, right there on the television camera, I had finally got the opportunity to personally thank Gary for this wonderful little handle that he gave me, because
Sure
it's been
stuck.
very lucky, and it stuck, didn't it? Huh?
How did it happen? As an ad lib, or was it in the script, wasn't it?
I would love to say there was more to it, but it really just happened, strictly. He used to, the usual introduction to sing, a sweetheart of song and all that. And then one day, from nowhere, he says, and here is her nibs, Miss Gibbs, and it just stuck.
That was a great show with you and
Wasn't
Gary
it a
Moore and
marvelous
Durante,
show?
and
Yes.
Sponsored by who? Rexall, wasn't it?
Camels.
Camels, Rexall later.
That's
Later,
right. Oh,
in
you
later
do
years,
have a
yeah.
good memory.
Oh, they were big favorites of mine. Great
Yes, I'm
radio
sure.
days.
Yes.
George, it's been so nice talking to you this afternoon. A real
Thank
pleasure
you.
meeting
It's
you
been
in
a
person.
pleasure.
Thank you, Georgia.
Thank you, Val. Bye-bye.